Was sagen Sie, meine Herrschaften?
Das ist sehr freundlich, Sturmbannführer.
Erik, der 33er und frische Gläser. Wir wollen ja nicht, dass Sie den 33er hier mit Ihrem Gesöfter verseuchen.
Wie viele Gläser? 5.
Für mich nicht. Ich mag Scotch, Scotch mag mich nicht.
Ich auch nicht, ich bleib beim Shampoos.
3 Gläser.
Welcome to the Harvard Podcast. I'm your host, the Kino Cowboy. I'm here with Boston Flasher, Scott Keith, the ex-expats. Today we're talking about what I personally believe to be Tarantino's best. Some might argue, but that's why we're here to talk. And it's Inglorious Basterds, which is spelled wrong, and I forgot why that's the case.
I mean, I think that's like the southern way to spell bastard, or like the Appalachian way. I don't fucking know.
But then Inglorious with the
Inglorious, yeah,
that's Anglo. So I
don't
know.
I don't understand it either.
But it's Operation Kino today, boys.
That's right.
Yeah, man.
I want to hop straight in. Why? I want to hear your argument for why this is his best film. And you said you've read that argument elsewhere, and I'm sure you have. Yeah. So what are your arguments and the arguments in general for that?
I just I think it's really strong, and I know Tarantino's passion for the art of cinema and the power of cinema, and this is the power of cinema literally. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Oh,
yeah, and that's why I really dig it. And I feel like we should talk about all 5 chapters, you know, like just go by chapter. But also, I want to say, how would you describe the tone of this movie and why does it work or not work for you?
So he always has a whiplash, intentionally, usually, between serious and pulpy scenes in his movies, you know. There's a lot of tense scenes that break out into almost comical violence in this movie, or some at least. But I feel like despite it being on the surface such a ridiculous premise of like the bear Jew and all these like weird characters and misfits, and there's still the humor and the levity, it's weirdly one of his most restrained films.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of scenes that are super fucking way more restrained than half the shit that he's ever made.
Yeah, because he's made basically kind of 5 interconnected short films.
Yeah.
The way he's done it. I mean, you can almost view each one of these chapters as just one really long scene.
Yeah.
Obviously made of smaller units. But the way he takes his time doesn't have it too, you know, he's known for like that quippy, snappy dialogue. And you can definitely hear his voice, especially in like the way some of them talk. Even Landa, despite him being a Nazi, sort of his affectations and his sort of maybe faux highbrow sort of speech is very Tarantino. But especially, I mean, the first scene, the first chapter, which sets up for the movie and is one of the most talked about parts of the movie, is so meticulously paced. And even as many little things in I don't even know if you call it blocking, but sliding the glass of milk over, or him just taking forever to drink it as a character moment of like, this guy is enjoying his power over this.
Yeah, it's all power moves. That entire scene is just a massive power move.
Yeah. He's like, oh, well, it's your house, he keeps saying. And the way he walks up, and it's so many subtle things that I haven't seen this movie since it came out, really.
Oh, okay. Well, it's like having seen the movie you rewatch it, you know, going in, he already knows the Jews are hiding underneath the floorboards.
Yeah.
There's no mystery there. So it's just even more grueling and more evil to watch the process unfold.
Right. Dude, I was telling after I rewatched this a few weeks ago, which is why I messaged everybody. I was like, let's do the Bastards. I rewatched it, and he's the most eloquent villain that I have ever seen in a fucking film. He's the most well-spoken, articulate, and charming Nazi ever. Like, which is a shitty statement out of context. Don't cancel me, but holy shit, he performs that role so
Yeah,
well.
no, he 100% deserved that Oscar. I don't know who else was up that year, but like,
Fuck him. Yeah, no.
you got our best supporting actor deserved it. Here's
Hans
like,
Landa is
Christoph
iconic.
Waltz, you know, who's Austrian, not German, but so was Hitler.
Hey.
He was on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee for some reason. He's not a comedian, but he was talking with Jerry, and not Jerry, but Jerry. And he was saying, like, you can imagine over the years, in my 30 or whatever years of acting, how many Nazi roles I've been offered. And I've never said yes to any of them. Like, I've never wanted any of them until this one, because the character was that good.
I didn't know he had a Comedians in Car Getting Coffee, and I'm probably going to immediately watch that.
It's interesting. It's a little weird because he's not a English is his second language. I mean, he speaks it very well. But it's like he's kind of foreign, and Jerry's doing his thing, and he's not a comedian, but it's an interesting watch.
I remember when this movie came out, though. It was like my first real foray. Because, well, when did this come out?
2009.
So yeah, it was like my first foray into a movie that had a lot of foreign language dialogue.
I was gonna say that was something that stuck out. As much as so many people, fucking people who don't watch this podcast, complain about subtitles in movies, which is insane because you're cutting out the majority of cinema and movies ever made, like 90+%. It's insane. I'm not saying you have to watch every low budget Nigerian Nollywood film, but Jesus Christ, that's a term. Nollywood, that's a thing. But the balls on Tarantino, because back in 2009, people still went to movies and people still respected directors, and Tarantino is one of the few that still his name has some cachet. But I think he just said people are going to come see this movie, and it was a success. And he's like, I am going to make you read subtitles, and you're going to like it, Middle America.
Yeah, for sure. He
awesome.
It was like because I was what, like 14, 15 when this came out, right around there. I actually got to see this in theaters. This was one of the rare rated R movies my stepdad would take me to, because he likes war movies. He didn't really think about anything else besides, oh, it's fucking, we're killing Nazis, let's go fucking see that.
I think a lot of people had that idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Tarantino Nazi killing, you know. And I went and saw this in theaters, and I know for a second I was like, what? I don't know if I can watch this because of that. But like the way the dialogue all just like streamed together, it's weird to see Tarantino's dialogue work so well in a foreign language.
For all we know.
For all we know,
I guess, From my perspective, everything is written so well, and everything is, the dialogue is so interwoven perfectly. You think, I would assume it's good. And if
no, but he probably wrote it in English and then had translators.
No, for sure.
And because even like some of the expressions and stuff, that's a bingo.
It's a great scene.
Creepy. But I mean, it's like when I watch movies in Spanish, even if I watch them with English subtitles, sometimes it fucks with me because the way they translate the subtitles is different than I'm hearing it. Because they don't translate as literally as I'm hearing it. They kind of make it flow a bit better. So translation is it's a craft, but it's also an art, you know, when you translate. There's MFA programs that are focused on literary translation and stuff like that. I mean, no, just like you have to maintain the music of the dialogue and really think about the intent of the author and the context of the work. So I'm sure that, I mean, I don't speak French or German or Italian. Despite like 5 semesters of German, I speak like throat is bread. Like, I don't know. That's like,
surprisingly, Scott, I also have 5 semesters of German and barely fucking remember.
Because we have the same teachers and this.
I remember I got to college and like I had Erlange, and that motherfucker, I walked in there after having fucking Ervalquist. And I was like, I don't know a fucking thing about this language.
Dude, I knew a little bit of like numbers. I can still do numbers.
I can tell you whenever someone comes up and goes, "Wie geht das gear?" And then I'm like, "It's get good" or whatever the fuck it is.
Good, sehr good.
It's good.
That was just side note. our college German teacher, I asked him like, oh, and I reference our high school German teacher. He's like, yeah, that guy's a joke. He's straight up
one of the nicest teachers ever.
he's really nice and actually German, which
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what he's doing in Arkansas, but
dude, I will say though that the whole tone of the movie is 100% set in that very first fucking scene.
yeah,
like just you understand that this is definitely a Tarantino film, but the stakes are so fucking high in this film, like higher than anything he's ever made. Everything else,
because it's killing the Fuhrer.
It's killing fucking Hitler. The fucking like you realize that like he's got his tone, like normal tone set to it, but just amplified by a fucking 100 because of the fucking situation.
Yeah, but so yeah, he's baller for making a movie that's mostly German and French, but it's in this first scene, this first chapter, which is 20 minutes long, which is like almost its own, short film vignette kind of thing. You get an immediate taste of what you're in for, the way it takes its time and everyone chews on the dialogue, and it's all just so interesting and well put together that you never get bored in this movie with its dialogue because it's mostly a drama. I'm sure people went to this movie expecting it to be like a fucking war movie.
Have you rewatched the trailer for this?
No.
It is advertised very much so to be like this fucking rootin' tootin' fucking war movie.
Yeah, I bet it is.
It's kind of funny.
Disappointed. I remember like my brother and my grandpa kind of talking like, I wish it was more violent. Like that's what they were saying.
This has some of the more like it's not as much violence, but there are some extremely graphic fucking
there's throat slittings and all kinds of shit.
Slicing the Nazi fucking the scalping.
Scalping.
And the Nazi insignia on the head, you're watching like fake meat all be pressed together and move, and I'm like, ugh.
I think the cameos, one of the cameos Tarantino has in this movie is he's one of the scalped corpses on the ground.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't say
awesome.
the N-word.
I appreciate that. That's funny.
But like so in the first chapter he visits a dairy farmer and his family. Something La Petite or something like that.
It's La Petite.
Yeah. And that guy, the French farmer, the expression on his face throughout the whole scene makes it, because you just see it subtly go from like he thinks he has it under control possibly to no, I don't think I have this under control in the slightest, and it's all in his eyes. They get more and more sunken in and more like.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know who that actor is, but
he's great in that one scene.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is every single character in this movie stands out in a brilliant way for one reason or another. Everyone has their own bit of character.
Dude, yeah, absolutely. They're all fleshed out.
Awesome. And it really makes you sucked in. And
it's a really interesting thing that Tarantino does. He balances. Okay, you could argue this criticism can be made of let's say Joss Whedon, or I make the criticism of what's his name wrote The Social Network.
Aaron Sorkin.
Aaron Sorkin is a lot of his characters sound the same because it's his voice.
Yeah, we talked about that last
Tarantino. Yeah, I talk about that a lot with Sorkin. He's like, I'm not saying he's not an excellent writer or whatever.
I love Sorkin, but yeah, you're right.
It takes me out of his movies because it lacks verisimilitude. First of all, Tarantino's such an interesting character anyway. But also like he rides that line between, he kind of makes this fictionalized universe. I think that's one thing that helps, is that this is historical fiction.
Can I give a comment on the historical fiction part real quick?
Sure.
So I think we should deal with a lot more of these fucking, like a lot of historical moments that are just like darker like that. I like this revisionist history thing, because it like, it's a really good way to just like show the evils of everything in the world, but also like fucking, instead of celebrating it and fucking displaying it like how it was, we can rewrite it and do really well with it. Kind of like what he did with Once Upon a Time in the Hollywood.
And Django, I want to put a pin in that, and I'll come right back to it. But what I was saying is, by developing his own universe, you kind of accept that like it's going to be stylized. That's what you came for. Versus like Social Network, everybody's kind of talking a little. And I haven't seen that movie in years, to be fair. but like talking sort of Sorkin-y, or something like, I don't know, the newsroom or whatever it's called. But he also maintains to have each character have a character voice while still maintaining a Tarantino-esque cadence throughout the scene, which is a delicate balance that not many writer directors can do. And I think you have to be a writer director. You have to do both is one thing,
which is fucking rare and for a lot of things, like
because and we don't get, especially these days, and we don't get a lot of backstory on a lot of these characters just because there's not time. It's already 2.5 hour movie, but the fact that he's able the character through the performances and the casting, even costume work, the writing, everything is still able to give them character, even though we don't know their backstories. Not all of them have like their own arc. You know, the Bear Jew, for instance, doesn't have an arc, but he's still, also he's Eli Roth, which I think is funny.
It's awesome. That's so fucking right.
One thing I saw pointed out, and I wish I thought of this myself, I think what Tarantino is trying to do, a lot of movies that try to give respect to victims of former historical events can put the victims in a sort of pitiable position. Let's and the example I saw were discussions around the latest Dahmer show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like in the ideas, like, okay, well, maybe we can add these people, their whole lives retroactively have been defined by like, you were a victim of Dahmer, despite anything else they might have accomplished. And so you can argue like, well, we're making the show where like people are learning about him, but at the end of the day, it's still putting Dahmer at the front and center. Okay, I mean, the show's called fucking Dahmer. Yeah. And people are like Daddy Dahmer or whatever.
And they cast a sexy motherfucker to play Dahmer. Like that's
exactly. They need to cast like me or someone. But but I think what he's doing with the Django and the Bastards in Once Upon a Time is he's saying like, fuck you, I'm not gonna pity these victims. And this isn't revisionist history in the sense of I'm saying this happened, but I'm going to make my own fictionalized version to show these people are badasses and empower them. Yes. And you can argue whether or not that works or like if that's the best way to approach history. I don't think anybody's coming at this from a historical education perspective.
No, right.
And if you are, you're a moron. But I really think it's interesting, and like instead of having, and I haven't seen Django, that's like his one major film I haven't seen. That and Jackie Brown I haven't seen. But it's you have something like, well, there can be in these slave narratives a sort of even like a liberal white guilt or kind of a suffering porn, aspect of it. But in that he's like, we're gonna talk about this, but I'm just gonna take the rings and although probably say the N-word too much. That's all.
No, yeah, good fucking points for sure. No, I like revisionist. I like these fucking alternate history things more so when we're dealing with these major tragedies and things like that. Again, go ahead.
We need one. He needs to make one about he needs to educate people about how the Civil War was the war of northern aggression. Is what he needs.
Oh my god.
You're like, these Confederates, they just states' rights, man. They just wanted to, I don't know what rights they wanted, but states' rights.
Who knows? I guess we'll never know, huh? No, but
every character is fleshed out so fucking well, even if they have like minimal time on screen.
Yeah,
like the Bastards. Most of the Bastards we don't really get to know. We get one backstory from the German who likes to stab people in the fucking face.
We're a great fan of your work.
Yeah. And then we get to know fucking Aldo Rain a little bit, tiny bit. He's a little Appalachian Jew, which is funny as fuck that he's from the Tennessee mountains. Like that cracks me up.
Appalachia is a hell of a place.
The first chapter, though, we get the importance of dairy and milk, which comes back later because he drinks 2 glasses of milk before he leaves and loves it. And then
only psychopaths drink fucking milk.
Oh yeah, and he they shoot all of the Jews under the floorboard except for one who escapes, and he could have shot her, but he wanted to let the chase go on, which is fucking insane and horrific.
Although I don't know.
Au revoir, Shosanna.
That
Yeah.
shot with a handgun would be near impossible, but it's a Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
I love that. That's one of my favorite lines in the whole fucking movie. Is the
But
au revoir, Shosanna. It's fucking disgusting.
yeah, and like you're sweating this entire opening because it's the most intense fucking thing and very serious in tone, and you're kind of like, damn, what am I in for here? You know, because you might have seen other Tarantino movies, and then it hits when it goes to the second chapter with the bastards, and they go into that dude's backstory, and it like gives that fucking title for him that pops
Sam
up with the guitar
Jackson
music.
fucking voiceover.
Yeah, then as soon as Sam Jackson starts the voiceover, you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
And that's
here we go.
intentional whiplash.
Yeah,
He's intentionally fucking with the audience's expectations to keep them on their tone.
yeah,
And it's not like he's able to do that. It's so precise. He's not undercutting the serious moment, and part of that's because he has it broken into chapters. But it's not like a lot of movies now, as we've talked about, that are undercut a serious moment with a joke because they're afraid to have a serious moment.
yeah.
Everything has to be light and bingeable. But like he does it intentionally to whiplash the audience and to make you keep, like, it almost keeps the suspense going, because the movie, you don't know what's happening. It's leisure domain. Filmmaking, leisure domain.
I love the first introduction of the fucking bastards, though, is fucking iconic. Like talking about how they're gonna go help their cousins in fucking Germany, and you know, we get the whole scene. So we get Hugo Stieglitz introduced, which is the only time they use the title cards like that, and it's fucking awesome, and also viciously fucking violent, which is what you want seeing killing Nazis, you know.
Yeah.
But we also get introduced to like everybody else, or at least the main four. We've got the Bear Jew, we've got Hugo Stieglitz, Aldo Rain, and we got fucking Wiki Wickets or whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah.
We get Private Butts. Private Butts, the lone German survivor, talking to Hitler, and Hitler's like, "We don't talk about the motherfucking Bear Jew. Like, no more Bear Jew." And we get the whole backstory and see the very first like introduction of their fucking brutality. And it's awesome.
With his stupid fucking New York accent.
I love it.
Yeah.
He hit him out of the park. It's a fucking home run.
That almost takes me out of the movie, I will say.
I love it, dude.
Stupid.
Especially because it's like it's 40s fucking. That's 40s dirty New Yorker.
Okay, no,
I love that.
He's from Newton, Massachusetts, so he's East Coaster.
I do love the whole interaction between not the sole survivor of that group, but like his captain, where his captain is being interrogated, and he's like, "So let's point out on a map here where your friends are, and we'll send you home with some sauerkraut sandwiches to eat another day." And you get to realize that he will leave some Nazis alive, but like one of my favorite points that he makes is like, "I know you're going to take what are you going to do with that uniform when you get home?"
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, "Well, I'm going to burn it, and I'm going to hug my mother." He goes, "Well, see, I don't fucking like that. We got to make sure people know who the fuck you are." And then the Nazi insignia on the motherfucking head, man. That shit's tight.
Yeah, and that's like, how can you not root for Brad Pitt when he's so against Nazis? You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
he's so
And like
badass.
his fucking accent is like fucking spot on too.
Gorlami. Yeah.
Buongiorno.
I think that's like fucking Sumner has quoted Buongiorno like that for as long as I've known him. It's so funny.
It's great. That's one of like the best jokes in the whole fucking movie is like, "Yeah, I know a little bit of Italian," and then Germans don't really speak to Italians very often, so they're not caught on besides, you know, good old Hans Landa.
And then he's like, the other guy's like, "I don't speak Italian at all." He's like I said, third best.
Yeah, his fucking the joke writing in this movie, you know, it's well done. Like it's not fucking too over the top, like you guys said. A lot of subtleties, and
Yeah,
a lot
like
of where they talk.
the humor's it's well crafted, especially when they're talking and he's talking and then he asks one of the other bastards a question and they're like on the ground cutting a scalp, like, "Yes, Captain," you know, just like cutting the scalp while talking.
Yeah.
It's good.
Also, shout out to that one dude who was in Freaks and Geeks in a fucking Tarantino movie killing Nazis.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
incredible. And then you got fucking
same age.
Oh yeah, for real. And then we
There's
got
a problem. He's perpetually 14. It's weird.
somehow BJ Novak is in this fucking
BJ
movie
Novak's
too.
in it.
Fucking so dope. Like what a stellar fucking cast.
He and Eli Roth are both from the same town. I just looked at the Wikipedia.
That's kind of cute.
A ton of people are from Newton, Massachusetts. Like Louis C.K. is from there. Christopher Lloyd's from there. It's weird.
Sounds like a Hollywood
Boston suburb.
but then we get
Yeah,
introduced to
Kanye
the
would hate
bastards
this
fucking we get introduced to the bastards like quick instead of like it's that chapter feels almost the shortest, even though I don't know if it is.
I don't know, because then also we get more of the bastards because that guy they let go is talking to Hitler that whole time.
That's what I'm saying. We
goes,
get introduced to them when they're in America, and then when they come back or when they're in Germany, we get the story of how they let Private Butts live. Private Butts. But like after that's like that feels the pacing of that makes it feel so quick, even though I don't know how long it is, but it's a good scene.
Yeah, for sure. And then we get into like the meat of
one
it.
of my favorites.
The next one is where we get into the meat of it, where we find out that the woman, the French Jew who was allowed to escape, has now
Shosanna.
changed her name, and she now has a cinema that she owns and is trying to just make a little living in France. And then we get the fucking Sigma male fucking Nazi
Frederick
fucking
Zoller.
yeah. I'm like,
Dude, I always forget Daniel Brühl's in this fucking movie, and he's so good in it.
yeah, harbor heads might recognize him from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but anyway, yeah,
He's a good Nazi. Plays good Nazis.
poor lady's just trying to run her cinema, and the fucking film patrician cinephile aficionado wants to fucking pester her. Like, that's so
SS
funny.
Kino over
Like,
here.
one of the main, like, I mean, technically villain in a way, like, in this movie is a fucking film nerd who won't leave a woman, an attractive woman alone, like a nerd who has no game. And
He's just a Redditor. He's like a
yeah,
Redditor veteran.
Incel. Well, that's the thing. So many, dude. Imagine you're a German and you're 18 years old, and then your dictator decides to start fucking World War II, and you get drafted, and you're just some 18-year-old, like working on a farm somewhere, and now
Yeah.
you're a soldier for Nazi Germany.
And then
Yeah.
he becomes a war hero. Like I can't remember the war hero we had similar.
Sergeant York. He references
Yeah,
Sergeant York.
Yeah, Sergeant York. It's
I think
the
it was World
same
War I.
story. It's like the same fucking story. He goes
I
in.
wonder if he's based on anybody, or if that's completely fictionalized.
No, fuck.
I don't know,
Nazis.
but
Fuck that.
obviously he's not just some random soldier, because he reportedly defended off a bell tower and shot down like 50 fucking other people on the
Great kill
opposite
streak,
side.
dude. Great
And
kill
then-
streak.
Do you think he dropped a nuke?
Not
They
only
didn't have
that-
nukes until 45.
And it's like you realize this because he like sits down with her. He finds her again, sits down with her when she's trying to just relax and enjoy her book and shit. Pesters the shit out of her. And it's funny that you find out that not only is a war hero, but there was a movie made out of him. And not only was there a movie made out of him, but he also starred in the movie himself.
Which is
And-
fucking crazy to me.
I
Yeah.
think there were some other, like Audie Murphy was a war hero who was in some movies, and like I don't think.
Yeah,
he
but
goes-
I know, it's just-
a movie about your own exploits. Like that's got to be the biggest ego boost on the
Yeah, it's
fucking
greasy.
planet.
But it's also just funny how like it kind of like escalates to that slowly as more people ask for his autograph and stuff or whatever.
But also, like, it's so fitting because that's exactly what Goebbels would do. Like, if he had a war hero that survived like that, he would immediately put him into a film to make propaganda about
Dude,
it.
we should have got John on this podcast. Damn. It's I don't know. We'll have more in depth in our Triumph of the Will review next week.
Even the name of the fucking movie, Stolzdale Nation, Nation's Pride.
Yeah,
It's
fucking on the nose.
Yeah, it's in your
perfect
face.
propaganda.
Even Triumph of the Will is it's just
Yeah,
so,
it's
like, German.
it's not self-aware. It's fucking, I don't know.
And it's in your face, but, like,
he didn't kill 50 fucking Bravo soldiers. It's 250.
Oh, okay.
That's fucking insane. And
Yeah.
probably, I also feel like I don't know if that was real. Like
it's a
never
movie.
like.
What are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about in the film. I don't know if.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if Zoller
that
actually did that or
Yeah,
if they
I think
are.
it's kind of ambiguous. It's interesting.
It's probably one of those things where it might have been like 25 guys and then multiplied by 10.
Yeah,
for
story
sure.
after story of people telling about it, and it escalates, and he goes with it probably because
absolutely. That's right.
He wants to be a
my
badass.
interpretation of it.
But
Because
the
he
interesting
doesn't
part is that when they're watching the premiere of the movie, he can't stand to watch it.
He has
has to
PTSD.
get up and walk out, which is as much of an incel fuck as he is, that is a very interesting part of his character.
It is.
I mean, soldiers are soldiers. Nazis are fucking evil. Yeah. They, it's one of those things. Killing a person is going to have an effect on you regardless, unless you're Aldo Rain and you're killing Nazis.
Yeah, well, fuck them. They deserved it.
Yeah, we should bomb Germany again.
But it's like,
Jesus fucking Christ.
Jesus, dude.
I like how the plot unfolds. Like it goes from because she starts to redevelop her life. She's got a beautiful like husband, or is that her husband, or are they married?
They're in love. I don't think
lovers.
I think it's in secret because one, it's occupied by Nazis, and two, it's black.
It's interracial.
Yeah.
But she's developed a life for herself again, and then all of a sudden she's thrown directly back into it and giving an insane fucking opportunity because they want to show the premiere of the film with everybody who is somebody in the Nazi party at her tiny little cinema where she can just fuck everyone up.
Just because this fucking nerd won't leave her alone as
fucking simp.
Fixated on her.
Incels save the day again. they burned down the Nazi party and Twitter.
But it's like, it's an incel who has power, which is really scary. Terrible. Because he just he has her brought over to this luncheon.
Yeah, like fucking.
Oh, you accepted my invite, and she's like, "What the fuck are you talking about, invite?" Asshole.
They were literally like, "Get in the fucking car, bitch!"
Yeah.
Like they were rough about it.
Like
they're just some goons,
Yeah, and think of her side.
A Jew, a closet Jew.
She probably thought she was going to be interrogated and possibly killed.
Yeah, for sure.
Instead, she's brought to this lunch, and
Goebbels is there.
She has to sit at a table with all these fucking assholes.
And then as everybody's leaving, Hans fucking Landa. That fucking scene is probably one of the most intense scenes I've seen in the movie.
And
he holds it together so well.
This entire chapter, I didn't remember.
No,
all of this.
That's like the heart of the movie to me.
It's probably my favorite chapter, to be honest with you.
It's interesting. The kind of inciting incident, or the kind of plot of let's kill all these Nazis in the theater, that doesn't come until an hour in the movie. Because Tarantino has the balls to say, "Hey, Hollywood, that set the major dramatic question at the 10-minute mark that Hollywood likes to do? Fuck you." Which is, I always hate. I know you got to learn rules before you break them, but I would take playwriting classes in college and stuff, and I see screenwriting courses advertised online and stuff, and it's like they have all these really prescriptive rules of why to do things, of how to okay, at this point you need to set the major dramatic question, but it's they never get into what are you doing with the audience to make them do that? I know your average moviegoer wants to know what the movie's about real quick, but God, I wish people could just read subtitles and wait a little and all these other things instead of being a bunch of plebs.
No,
I don't know where I was going with
that. It's a good thing to point out because that's why this movie's even though it's fucking 13 years old or whatever, it's still so refreshing. You watch it today compared to
for sure.
I feel like the late 2000s was in a way kind of a swan song last gasp of cinema.
For sure. We'll have I'm sure there'll be a revitalization of shit like this later. And,
I mean, we get some good shit every year.
Sure. No, of course it's gone. I mean, but it's gone smaller. It's gone.
Because
stuff.
Well, this week Tarantino came out, literally while we were watching this movie. It was interesting that this aligned, but he came out and said cinema today is the worst it's ever been, and we're in the worst era of cinema. And it's like,
Damn.
and people, of course, were fucking, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, no, dude. For the majority of it, we're getting a lot of horrible crap.
There's great stuff, but you have to seek it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
As far as for the masses,
Yeah, I was saying that.
I think access to world cinema is better than other, which is great. That's fantastic.
For sure.
The fact that something like Squid Games can become an international
The
phenomenon.
fact
Like,
that
people were talking about it
Parasite
in Spain
won an
as much
Oscar.
as they when I was in Spain as much as they were in the US, which is great. That's fantastic.
The fact that Parasite won Best Picture.
It's
Really
and that is the Academy Awards.
Yeah,
but
sure. but
that is a
what
great
happened?
picture, and I have no problem with it winning Best Picture. It was
Do
one.
you want to say in that scene though? I think that's like Mélanie Laurent, Shosanna's best part. Like that's her single-handedly. Like her best part is her sitting down with Hans Landa,
trying to keep it together in every way possible, and it's like,
dude, it's so fucking stressful, and you feel everything just break as soon as Hans Landa leaves, and she just like freaks out for a second.
He's an espresso for me, a glass of milk for her.
Yeah.
Just all those subtle and then like she's a dainty woman. Give her milk, and then all the. Let me ask you this:
Wait for the cream.
Do you think? Because I don't think Hans saw her face when she ran out.
No, I don't think. I don't think he knew who that was.
You don't
I think he does. I think he
You
does.
think he does?
Exactly.
Really?
I
No?
think he's always I think he's like 2 steps of the game in the entire movie.
Oh, he's the smartest guy.
And
I don't think he was.
Up in the end.
So we're not into this part of the chapter yet, but like, he didn't know that the fucking actress Hammersmart. He didn't know until after he actually went there and saw the lipstick. So like, I don't know how much he does know and how much he doesn't know.
I think he does. I think that's why he gave her milk.
He certainly had the milk thing.
Yeah, he gave her milk. I think that's
Why would he not
immediate thing.
fucking do anything about it then?
But also, it could
Part of the game. He probably wanted to see how it developed.
Yeah, he wanted more information, which he
That's
got
fair.
because he's playing both sides. Kind of, he's just into power. 'Cause
Yeah.
At first, you kind of think he's a true believer of the Nazi Party, but he's just into the power trip. The ideology attracts,
which makes it almost like more evil to me.
Yeah, because he has no ethos. Like, say what you will about the tenets of National Socialism, at least it's an ethos.
There's been so many moments this podcast where I'm just like, fuck.
That's a Big Lebowski quote. I should clarify. That's not my.
That's not Scott's ideology. Anybody?
Yeah, dude, and you can read it in a book I wrote called My Struggle.
Fuck, dude.
No, I think it's for me, I thought it was a dead giveaway. He says, "Oh no, she'll have milk, like a glass of milk." Like,
I don't know. I guess you're right. I don't know.
I think he's just fucking bullshitting her, teasing her. He asked her questions about her identity.
That makes him a lot more sadistic.
And also, it's just other little character things. It was just like he puts like 4 like scoops of sugar in his espresso. He like really gets it up.
But also, like at the same time, he didn't know about Operation Kino whatsoever until he fucking figured out the Hammersmark thing too.
Right,
Yeah,
which is sort of, you realize, I don't know, they kind of, everybody gets fucked over. I mean, it's kind of fortuitous that they kind of have 2 operations going on.
I love that. I love that so fucking much.
And even though they arguably kind of get in each other's way, but I don't know, not really. But that strudel and cream looked really good though.
That is the best looking whipped cream I've ever seen in my life.
gotta wait for the cream.
He's like scooping it up.
You gotta wait for the cream. Don't eat it without the cream. That's fucking hilarious.
I love food. I love food porn and movies. That is the best.
I do. I love when
cream.
it's well done. It looks crisp and homemade.
I've ever seen.
Dude, I bet it's old grandma World War I Weimar recipe.
yeah. Fucking A, dude.
Yeah. German pastries.
That's one of my favorite scenes ever. And then, like you said, they pick up Shosanna in such an aggressive way, and Zola is just like, "You accepted my invitation. Sit down." And he's like gassing up her cinema. And at first, Shosanna's like, "Absolutely fucking not." Like in her head, you can tell she's like, "Fuck that." And then she realized she's been presented an opportunity that she can't fucking pass up.
But it's also like, you get the whole part where the director is like arguing with them about it, and
Oh, yeah.
they're all talking in German. She just has to sit there awkwardly, like, what the fuck's going on?
And
Like-
Goebbels is I heard in real life was incredibly intimidating.
Yeah.
There's a really iconic picture.
Pretentious
him-
fucking prick.
It's him smiling, his photo being taken, and then a photo about 15 seconds later being taken, and him looking just like death stared at this person because he figured out that the photographer was a Jew.
Ooh,
It's a really. Have you seen those pictures?
that's
No.
dark.
I'll find them and I'll send them to you guys. It's a really intense fucking moment.
By the way, send in the chat here or whatever. But the thing is, I also was looking at Goebbels a bit, and I knew who he was and stuff. But his official title was like Reich Minister of Propaganda. They didn't even
Jesus
try to
Christ,
hide it.
dude.
That
Yeah.
was like, and he was the Reich's Minister of Propaganda from 1935 to 1944, whatever.
Who do you think
God
the
damn.
propaganda minister would be here in the United States?
Let's not get into that.
I'm just
Huckabee
curious because
Sanders, our new
that
governor.
that concept is not done anywhere else. I don't know. I've never heard of like anything else like that for like
Dude,
a dictatorship.
I'm telling you, Kanye, he's telling us
I,
Hollywood, man.
it's I'm just like trying to think who would make the best American propaganda.
Obviously
fucking-
Adrian, because he's a master filmmaker.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Vader.
He'd do a bunch of Albanian pride movies, like reimagine Kosovo winning the Yugoslavian Civil War.
Jesus Christ.
That'd be pretty fucking cool. But
I just sent you guys the pictures if you guys want to look at it real quick while we're on the
It's dark.
podcast. We can talk about it.
but
But it's a really intense fucking set of photos and super fucking iconic.
yeah. I think I've seen that before.
Yeah.
But what when we get into Operation Kino, which is the next chapter, that's when I always forget that Mike Myers is
Mike
in it, too.
fucking Myers, yeah.
What do you think of that performance?
I think
I
that
think
is
it's
cool
great.
that it's not just some like
He hammed it up.
silly bit, it's
Yeah.
just him playing a character,
Yeah, a lot of I've read other, or at least one other critic saying it doesn't work. It does take me out a little that it's Mike. I was like, oh shit, it's Mike Myers, but I didn't see him in the opening credits, so I knew he was going to be there. And that's Churchill sitting next to him, right?
Yeah.
Supposed to be. I feel like, don't you think it's weird that kind of before he blew up, what's his name, the
Are you talking about Magneto?
Yeah.
I can't.
Fassbender.
Fassbender,
Yeah,
Michael
Michael
Fassbender.
Big old. That guy's got a big old dick. Just had to say that. That guy's
Oh
got-
yeah, I've heard.
God.
I think it's weird he doesn't really acknowledge his own private.
Go watch, dude.
very
There's a
much.
movie called Shame that he was in. That was the first thing I saw him in.
hangs on.
Dude, the poster for that is the word shame made out of cum.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good poster.
Yeah,
Sorry.
fucking 15-year-old
Every time we
like
talk about
that.
Fassbender, I'm gonna bring up his dick. Sorry.
Every time I see Fassbender in a movie, I'm like, fuck, he needs a better agent because these days I haven't seen him in jack shit.
No, and he's good in this, and
He's great in
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah, everything I've seen him
Yes.
in has been great. He
like
plays
he's great.
weirdest roles.
He's great in Prometheus and Alien, even though those movies underperformed or whatever.
Did you guys see that one that he was in where he wears a fucking mascot mask the entire time and he's like a
Yeah.
famous singer?
Frank?
That movie. Yeah, Frank. I couldn't remember if it was
Yeah,
Frank. What
I've
it was.
seen that.
That movie's fucking great.
I think it kind of takes a ballsy actor to do that. Just be like, hey, I'm gonna wear a mask the whole time.
Well, we know he's got
And
a big
and also
dick.
an
He's probably got big
actor
balls.
who doesn't have too much ego and is more interested in the
Yeah,
character.
like what's that movie called? V for Vendetta.
yeah,
You never get
which
that,
is a
like,
great
reveal.
performance because Hugo Weaving, great performance from him, and you feel like I think to take that, obviously it's a big role. It's guys who made the Matrix, or women, excuse me. Guys is gender neutral.
Uh-oh.
Guys is gender neutral. Hey guys. Hey
Yeah,
dudes.
yeah.
What has Fassbender been in lately though? Like
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. Maybe he settled. Maybe as a kids now or something.
I
don't
think
know.
I think maybe Assassin's Creed did him in.
Yeah,
Oh shit! I forgot he was in Assassin's Creed.
not his fault,
No
Well, it's
one,
like-
not a soul saw that fucking movie.
Dude,
we
it's
I've heard it's
crazy to
bad.
me that Fassbender's like he plays this British sergeant super well, but also like other things I've seen him in. He plays the gnarliest slave owner I've ever seen on fucking screen in 12 Years a Slave. It's vicious how fucking his what is the fucking, I can't even think of the word. The way he's able to act, he's got a lot of fucking, he's able to go back and forth to a lot of things. It's cool.
Yeah, dude, it looks like his last big roles were X-Men Apocalypse, Assassin's Creed, Alien Covenant, and X-Men Dark
Yeah,
Phoenix.
he needs a better fucking agent.
And none of them were his fault. Oh, he's gonna be in Kung Fury too.
Yeah, if that ever comes out.
Yeah,
That's been in development for like 7 years. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, what the fuck happened? Where the fuck? Because like this
he
dude
was Steve Jobs.
Yeah,
Like,
Steve Jobs
was
was like his
Macbeth.
last great performance.
Yeah. 12 Years a Slave. He had a great run there, and then it just screwed him up. Again, not his fault. I don't really. Hollywood's so stupid because like an actor could be in a bad movie. And it's like, well, clearly the actor is the reason they didn't see it, and we're not operating under the star system like it's the 70s anymore.
Yeah,
it's the star system still exists, and it
yeah, but like the Hollywood celebrity is in a way is dying.
Celebrity has been. The way celebrity is fetishized and commodified has been the wealth has been redistributed, so to speak.
It died when Michael Jackson.
More attainable.
Died. That style of celebrity died when Michael Jackson died. We haven't had anybody like that.
Well, it's just interesting, like celebrity worship peaked in like the early 2010s. I feel like with like, and then we kind of became more self-aware of like fuck this, and then now. With the rise of streaming and all these different platforms, that the whole like movie led by stardom isn't as prominent as it used to be. So
we still have our people. Like the first one that comes to my mind is Anya Taylor-Joy.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, like,
but you have somebody like who gets big from Netflix, David Harbour, who is now in that Santa Claus movie, which isn't like a big budget movie, but they recognize the star power and they'll put him in, or and that's going to be in theaters, right?
Yeah, why.
Yeah, so that's a theatrical film and it's a holiday film. And
I'm gonna go see that for sure.
Yeah, me too.
We'll see if it looks fun,
I will say, I think the measure of stardom now is when you're going to be casted into an MCU movie.
It's a huge
you made it for a fucking superhero movie.
Or some people try to avoid it.
And I was thinking, like, what if some people who were, dude, why did he not stay with War Machine? That guy's crazy though.
Because
he was trying to prove like 1 + 1 = 3.
He got kicked off those movies, man. He got kicked off because he was an abusive drug addict.
Yeah, that guy has
fuck
problems.
that guy.
But I imagine like some of the earlier MCU movies, if you're like a side character or one or done, and you didn't know how big those movies were gonna be, you're like, ah. I was even thinking someone like Rachel McAdams, who's a really good actress, is like the girlfriend whose name you can't remember because who gives a shit? And like
she's got a bigger role in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, no, she does.
She becomes the night nurse in that. Like she becomes like an actual character. The big one that I think of like side character that is crazy to think about is Colby Smulders.
Oh yeah,
like that
was. She's getting a little bit of a role.
She's about to get a massive Secret Invasion role.
Yeah, Secret Invasion. Let's not talk about the MCU.
No more Marvel. I can go deep.
I don't want to talk.
I just saw Wakanda Forever yesterday. I can go deep on it again.
No.
We're not going to, but like it renewed my hope in MCU yesterday.
True Harbor heads know that we have to connect everything to the MCU or Star Wars.
Like probably like 90% of the podcast.
We were talking about star power and how it's different now. And
yeah, that was
what's his name from Call Me by Your Name? Twink Boy.
Timothy
Chalamet. Timothy Chalamet said that Leonardo DiCaprio told him to not do any MCU movies. And, because like you have that star power, like Leonardo DiCaprio is like one of the most famous actors of all time. He doesn't
arguably the like top 10 most famous actors of all time since he was a child.
I don't know. It's just interesting.
I just wish Leonardo DiCaprio didn't.
But anyway, Fassbender's great in this movie. He has, like I said, every character is interesting in their own way. I like his little accent and how he does things, and
he also has probably one of the most iconic scenes in the whole movie.
He's just a little too sure of himself, and it gets him into trouble.
3 and 3
because obviously, because I remember watching it the first time, and when he does this, I like gasped. I remember the first time because I just knew somehow subconsciously that's not how Germans.
We learned. I think I learned that.
We learned that in German.
First year German. Yeah,
I just knew. It's just like a common knowledge, I guess.
I will say that whole cellar scene is the most badass scene in the movie. You've got the people celebrating the birth of the child and getting fucking wasted, and you've got just these intense moments, and in pure Tarantino-y, you've got the one SS officer sitting in the back by himself drinking a boot of beer. That no one
Yeah.
which is awesome.
The character, the unseen character in the room. I love that trope.
And it's the same SS officer from the Shosanna and the
It's
restaurant.
also like in westerns, in the pub.
This is the only movie I would consider a spaghetti World War II movie.
Yeah. No, for real.
It is.
Yeah.
Even the music.
The music and the fucking scenes, it's so fucking spaghetti western, and I fucking love it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Every single chapter of this feels like its own thing, but it's all interconnected so well. And it's just people chewing dialogue in different situations. And I love it so much, but like for some reason, when he almost takes that concept too far with Hateful Eight, because it just kind of drags on and it doesn't work nearly as well as it does in this movie.
It's like one of the only Tarantino movies
I'm just saying, and I've only seen Hateful Eight once, but you just compare the two with how one works so well and the other one doesn't. It's I don't know. He went too far a little bit, but
you mentioned it at the beginning though, like. This movie shows Tarantino's love of fucking cinema. This movie and Kill Bill show his love of fucking cinema so fucking much. There's so many different, like you've got combinations like spaghetti westerns, you got your World War II shit, you've got blaxploitation situations, even though there's not really any like, black fucking people in this movie.
Well, yeah, his use of anachronistic music is awesome. Some people don't like that in period pieces, but I'm with it.
Well, we've talked about this before, but like if you played music of that time, modern audiences are not going to have the same emotional response. So what you're going for is an emotional response, not necessarily that you're going for the right emotional response, not the right music for the time.
What do you like combine? He combines like music that would be fitting for that time, and also like see. I had an issue with stuff like with one specific director doing this all the time. And I I now like him after watching Elvis. But Baz Luhrmann, that used to piss me off. So in the middle of fucking Gatsby and Flux Pavilion is fucking playing. And that pisses me off so
that movie's polarizing. I really love it.
I worked in the movie theater whenever it fucking
not like Romeo and Juliet.
I'm not a fan of that one. I think Elvis, and I haven't seen Australia. One of my buddies really wants me to watch Australia. Haven't seen that, but like I really liked fucking Elvis. Like I'm surprised at how much
he did Moulin Rouge too, right?
Yeah, Moulin Rouge is I hate that movie.
That's a theater kid movie.
Yeah,
fuck that on instinct,
Hey Emily, you want to go watch Moulin Rouge?
Yeah, fuck all that, dude.
Fuck all that shit.
But Elvis, Tarantino makes it work, and every scene is so detailed, even with its minor characters, like we said, like. One of the characters in this bar, he's drunk as fuck. He just had a child that day, 5 hours before, and we learn that his name is Maximilian and all this stuff. And this is just all on the side. But while the real conversation is going on with with Fassbender and his group, with the spy, I guess.
Hammer Smart. I can't remember her first name.
The actress who is. Not a defector. Agent. What's the word I'm looking for? Double agent or whatever. And so it's almost like you're there in the bar. You've been overhearing someone else's conversation this whole time, and you have that in your head while listening to your friends almost. And it works so well. By the time things escalate and heat up in the situation, now suddenly the fact that this guy is a father and all this stuff comes into play because he's the last one alive in the bar. And the way that he sets up that scene is so technically brilliant to me that
we got a Mexican standoff in a World War II film. Just
man, this guy knows how to blend fucking genre.
Hugo Stieglitz with the gun to the balls.
It's badass too.
Dope.
And you get that same tension from the first chapter and this chapter. With the douchebag fucking Nazi who's like,
what is that character's name? Because he was in the scene, he was in the chapter before. He's the one who brought Shosanna to the diner.
Okay.
What is his?
And I'm thinking they make the audience think for a second that like, oh, maybe he does believe Fassbender after this whole time, but I don't think he ever believed
Oh,
it.
dude, he never believed him. I don't think
Yeah.
for a fucking second.
Yeah.
Because he's way too aggressive in a lot of his conversations. He's not. It's like the most aggressive passive aggressiveness I've ever fucking seen. Because he's not like actively accusing or anything like that, but he is definitely like treading the waters. And I think there is a split second right before the fucking fingers that he's like, okay, maybe this is like that. But then he sees that fingers and his fucking face changes immediately. And it's so fucking dark and good. And that's
it's
that's
like
scene.
him, just like Christoph Waltz's character. They've both like studied a bunch of detailed bullshit just so they can be as good of a Nazi as they can be.
Thing about him though is like he is down for the fucking cause. And also like he is not nearly as charming. Like that guy's kind of a dick. Well, he is a dick. No, kind of. But then you have that serious. You have like you watch 3 of like the main bastards murdered and killed, and then you have that scene where fucking Aldo's like, "How many of y'all are still alive?" And he's just like, "There's one, and he's just like, "Oh, no guns, no deals." Fucking pops.
Yeah, but here's the thing: do you think Aldo would have shot him anyway?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Aldo has no empathy.
I noticed this time when Aldo's hiding behind the stairs, you can't see his hands if he has a gun or not.
Oh, he had a gun the whole time.
But it is funny that it was the actress who just like shoots the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
Says fuck it. But oh shit, I forgot where I was going with that.
Well, it's just another way that this film is it's masterful in its use of ambiguity, as we've brought up. We're questioning character's motivation or the character knowledge in individual scenes by withholding information.
Did you guys feel empathy for that guy at all? The one that was having the child?
I can't lie, I did a little bit.
Well, if you think you think about it, and I'm not a Nazi sympathizer whatsoever, but like you do have people who pop in that are just like they're brought into it and swept up in the motions. And don't really understand the full fucking concept and what is happening.
And they didn't know the Holocaust was happening.
I was gonna say Nazis weren't knowing. Like I said, no sympathizing for the Nazi. Fuck that guy. He should have died. Fuck that kid that he had. I mean,
well, I can sympathize for the wife and kid. They're not part of it.
But you kind of deal with your own fucking morals yourself, like thinking about stuff like that. And it's interesting that Tarantino of all people is making you.
And it's not like it
humanizes a fucking Nazi. Like,
and it's not just it's not a major character too. It's just like a like real minor character too.
Yeah. Well, it's like the other person I think that did that well with like humanizing evil situations was Taika's not been on the greatest war, but Jojo Rabbit is fucking masterpiece, and it shows like
I wouldn't say it's a masterpiece, but it's a good movie.
Oh man, I'm fully on board with the Jojo Rabbit one. I love that movie. But it's weird to be provided a situation where you're thinking about empathizing with people.
Yeah, but in Jojo Rabbit, it's a fucking child. That's different.
And the whole point is that he's ignorant because
that's
I mean, I even saw some of the trivia, like they're eating unicorn meat together. Hitler was a vegetarian.
Yeah.
He's offering cigarettes. Hitler,
but you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, a lot of the time, even in my head, I think fuck the Hitler Youth. Like, but at the same time, like,
wasn't Pope Benedict a Hitler Youth?
Yeah, fuck the Pope. Fucking Catholics, man.
I mean, what are you gonna do? Dude, I don't know. You're a kid in Germany, and they're like, "Do you want to be a Hitler Youth?" It's kind of weird if you say no, and they're like, "Why not?" Like,
fair as fuck. But then you remember in that fucking. Have you guys ever seen The Pianist?
No.
There's that one Hitler Youth that finds.
I don't watch penis movies.
Fuck Roman Polanski. Watch that movie. That movie is an actual masterpiece. There's a point where this Hitler Youth finds the fucking Adrian Brody, and Adrian Brody's like, shh. He looks at him and you think he's gonna stop for a second. He's like, he's over here.
Yeah, dude.
Youth. But I do think
that
one
movie,
of my
by what's his name?
Roman Polanski. Yeah, fuck. Yeah. I said it. Fuck Polanski. Great movie though. But it is a great movie. I do love that that Hans Landa is the one who is investigating that tavern. And before I go into this, I do want to say one thing. That bartender even had like distinguishable characteristics, like kind of well developed little side minor character.
Yeah, he was about to pull that fucking gun out.
Yeah,
And he
it's
does.
cool.
But
Hans Landa finds the fucking is the one investigating, and of course he finds the note with the shoe.
But also you think like or standard audiences might think, well, obviously the good guys are gonna get out of that bar somehow. No, they are all shot dead.
That scene, and again, it's intentional whiplash, but it made me laugh by just a little bit when the gunfire broke out, just because of how chaotic.
It's insane.
It made me gasp. The first time I saw that, it made me fucking gasp.
It was just Jesus Christ.
Like I said, this was like my first foray into movies like this when I was a kid.
Well, imagine that actually happened to you in a bar. Like all of a sudden, all these people have guns. Like,
and you're just like, you're the last one sitting. You're like, yeah, no, for sure. I do like when they did go back to bring Hammersmark back. Fucking Aldo is like, how the fuck did anybody know? And then they explain it, but she's like sticking his finger in her fucking wound.
Yeah, dude, I almost had to look away at that scene.
Yeah, I love that.
That's gnarly.
Yeah. You feel bad for her because she didn't, although she did kind of lead him, Landa, but to him
inadvertently, she's like the bravest character in the whole film.
Because she's not a soldier, she's an actress.
That is the most brave shit you can do in the face of tyranny. You basically trade sides from your home country.
And I'm really disappointed we didn't see more Hollywood actors storming the Capitol on January 6th for a stolen election.
Oh, there was that one guy from fucking Bob's Burgers, Jimmy Pesto.
Was he?
Yeah, Jimmy Pesto.
That's why he's not on Bob's Burgers anymore.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Hilarious. There's also this fucking reggae singer who was who stormed the Capitol. But you guys don't know who that is.
Not a reggae head.
Sorry, dude. But no, it's that another. I think every chapter is awesome. I don't really have a favorite.
Yeah, it's all awesome because it all works together into one cohesive thing. We get finally we get to the part where, the whole part in the bar, she's trying to tell them that Hitler's going to be at the film or at the movie premiere, and then so that's a great reveal. And then it all comes together, and you're like, "Oh shit!" Now I see.
The guy who played Hitler was really good.
The guy who plays Hitler. It's like the first
99999.
He's like a little over the top, but then the next time you see him, he's like way more subdued.
I'm pretty sure Hitler was over the top. Like the man was on meth. Like
I was about to say he was methed out all the time.
Yeah,
which is cool.
But
he get right into our state.
Like we were talking about anachronistic music, which is awesome, and in chapter 5 is where that really shines. And then you get Memo, what's her first name?
Shosanna?
No, yeah, whatever. But she's like dressed up for the premiere, and they're planning out the attack with the film and shooting.
Dude, that's a good. I love that little fucking. They using the nitrate film. That's another love of cinema type thing. Only people who know. And I love that her lover. He's like kind of against like intimidating someone to so, and then he's beating the shit out of that dude to fucking have him edit the fucking film. That she made.
Yeah.
I love that she thought about making like splicing in her own "fuck you" to all the Nazis.
Yeah, she could have just lit it on fire, but no, she's like, fuck y'all.
I love it. It's so fucking dope.
I want you to see the Jew who killed you. That has such a like the 1984 Apple commercial vibe.
Yeah. Sick reference, bro. You always got the best,
bro.
Truly though.
We get the whole scene of them coming in and being an Italian men and she's in a fresh cast and she had been climbing mountains.
And that's another scene that's like funny because they're all talking in German, and Aldo just has to stand there hoping everything's going the way it should be.
You can tell he's like slightly shitting his pants too. Like he's like,
yeah, he's just occasionally.
Buongiorno.
Yeah, buongiorno.
And also the backstory is like she's like, these are my Italian friends. Does she speak Italian? I don't think she does.
No.
And then
And then her mountain climbing.
Yeah.
There are no mountains where that's at.
No, there's no mountains in Paris.
Well, yeah,
Well, I don't
Lana
know,
jokes
yeah,
about that.
that's part of the joke, I guess, is because
Yeah.
Aldo comes up with that as like a reason, and
He's so
you would think,
that was dumb.
of course, they're not going to go with that, but then she does, and which is stupid as fuck.
Right.
Everybody believes
you could have
it. No one
gone with
questions
like,
it besides Landa.
oh, I was at an intersection and a car like bumped into me, like something way more believable.
Yeah, but I don't think the excuse would have mattered.
No.
I think he was
Oh, yeah,
already
Landa.
like, I
No,
think
he
I know
smelled
who
it
this
out.
is.
Well, yeah, he had the fucking note that had.
Like,
Oh yeah, well that too.
It's
and
a
then
fresh cast. Like
he pulled her into the
obviously.
room or whatever, and she sits down. He goes, "Can you go ahead and reach into your pocket?" First, you get the foot, like in every Tarantino film. You get
Yeah,
some,
but like
tasty toes.
he found a way to make it be very highly relevant to the plot. So
exactly.
No,
what can I say?
if I didn't know that Tarantino had a foot thing, then I wouldn't have thought anything of it.
Yeah,
It's so
exactly.
interesting though that he has her sit down and he goes, "Will you go ahead?" He's so calm about it. "Will you go ahead and reach into my right coat pocket?" She reaches in and she's like, "What the fuck am I grabbing in here?" And then she feels it. You see her fucking face change. And then he just like fucking vicious. It's the most vicious scene he's had. You think he's all calm and collective. He's so fucking angry that he got worked up. Like someone got it almost feels like because he didn't know at all that she was a double agent. And so he gets so pissed that she got one up on him.
Yeah.
For the most
That's
part.
what it is.
Fucking choking her out.
Which
It's
takes
not
his
even
character
for the
to the next level.
Dude,
yeah, it does.
It's
such a good performance, and it really shows because he's not a true believer. You learn because he's like, I'll fucking kill Hitler for my own
He's
game.
playing a fucking game. Like
Yeah, and he was like, no, he didn't like that you won, so he's like nerd raging. Like if you fucking beat him in
it's
chess.
like me whenever I don't win 3 games of Call of Duty.
Yeah, exactly. No, you guys have heard me like question my own self-worth as a human being for losing it. It's a problem.
It shows that like Landa's not as like cool and collected as we think. Like
no, there's simmering under the surface. It's
fucking awesome. It's fucking awesome. And then he
also
goes
I was imagining being that actress who's she was a national treasure in Troy. I forget her name, Diane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She having to film like she had to make her face like that, and they actually had to like shake her head against the floorboard. But this is probably her most.
I feel like Christoph Waltz has soft hands though.
Probably.
Well,
you saw he wasn't like. The thing is, you just can't crush.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying. I feel like he moisturizes. I feel like he uses decent soaps and.
You think so? He uses
like
artisanal European hand soap.
Oh, this is way off topic, but I just remembered that the next thing I saw Christoph Waltz in was the Green Hornet with Seth fucking Rogen.
How was that?
Me and Adrian saw that in theaters.
Yeah, we saw it in theaters back when that new Cinemark opened in Conway.
Yeah, it's a bad movie.
It was okay. It was amplified by the fact that we're seeing it on this giant screen in this nice, beautiful new theater after having shitty fucking screens for our whole lives.
Yeah. Dude, we really did for a while there. I don't. It's been so long, but thinking back, that old by the Hobby Lobby, that theater.
Yeah. That one and the one that the old where the Cinemark is now. I just miss like back in the day. I would go out there and try to buy rated R tickets, and when I wouldn't, we'd fucking Mr. people to buy rated R tickets.
Yeah.
We would sneak around the side and smoke cigarettes and fucking just did fucking
stupid shit like that.
But yeah, back to sorry, I just had that brief.
No, that's awesome.
Green Hornet. What were we saying? I'm sorry.
We were just
talking about the
about
choking scene, soft hands. I want to go directly after that though, because Hans Landa they tackle Aldo Snow, or I keep calling Aldo Snow. It's not his name, Aldo Rain. And they pick it. They find everything on him. They find the dynamite, and he goes into the theater and puts that dynamite under the chair of the Führer.
Which we don't get until after this scene, actually.
Is it not? And I thought that was the same.
You realize that Christoph Waltz put it directly under that chair in the thing himself, but you don't realize that because we don't know he's playing that game yet.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
I'm trying to think, because you've got the other two Italians that are like walking around with drinks and stuff, and right before like everything starts to really go off, you've got Shosanna going out, locking the doors, and then you've got her lover preparing to light everything on fire, but she's up splicing the film together. And who comes a knocking? Fucking Simp 101
Yeah.
comes in, and he gets fucking. You see his violent tendencies. You see that he's not this charming.
Interesting, and only more relevant now with
the rise of the incel movement.
rise in the incels and the school shooters and fucking
literal Nazis.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what I like. It's and a lot of women can probably relate to these overly nice guys, simps, and then they have these secret violent tendencies.
Yeah, man, he's
scary.
been on the show this whole time, and then he comes in and he's like, I don't get told fucking no.
Yeah.
Like that's
and then how easily he drops all of it when she tells him to lock the door. He like almost for like immediately.
Yeah, it's fucking pathetic. And then
pathetic.
She puts a bullet right in his belly. Fuck him. And then she gets shot, which is sad. But like she got what she wanted. Like she got what's happening.
It's sad, but I think she knew
that's what
she was in
Tarantino
for.
does. But my favorite part of that, the whole burning scene, is fucking what is their lover's name? I keep forgetting it. It's like Henry, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
He's smoking the cigarette, looking at all the fucking film in front of him.
There's a badass fucking shot.
But he's like basically like professing how much this is worth it for how much he loves her, because he's giving up his life too.
Yeah,
he's smoking, and I love it. Brief little thing. There's a Naruto, which is an anime. There's a character named Shikamaru who does the same thing to another person and kills the person by lighting a cigarette with his sensei's fucking lighter, who that person just killed, and then throws the lighter on him after telling him that he's the only god he can pray to. Fucking sick. Sorry, every time I see that scene, I'm like,
no, I'm sure Tarantino had that in mind.
I bet, dude. I hear he's a real big Naruto fan.
Yeah, he's a total weeb.
Shut the fuck up, y'all.
But it's like so fun how both sides of the operation collide at that moment.
Yeah, because you
walk in. It's just like a fuck you Nazis extravaganza, because they're scared trying to escape, which you could consider this a companion piece to Come and See, maybe on the opposite side of
I was thinking that too.
But
I was traveling.
They're trying to escape, and then not only that, but then dudes come in and just start fucking blasting.
I will say,
it's awesome.
One of the most badass scenes in fucking cinema is him being like, all right, I'm gonna go serve them, fucking wait 3 seconds and come and get fucking fire. And they've got the wrist guns, which is now a Tarantino thing because they've done that twice. And they run up and it's in slow motion and bang, bang, and then quickly stops being slow motion. And they're just like looking at each other. They're like, fuck yeah. It's so fucking
and
dope.
Then you think like okay, yeah, they're killing Nazis and shit, but then it takes it to the Tarantino 11 where they start shooting Hitler, and it's like a fucking jerk off shot, and then it goes even further and they're shooting his body as his head just like blows up.
Think about that. Think about
It's
that.
like
If that were like a real thing that happened and your people are being slaughtered and you have that chance to fucking that's fucking sick.
Yeah, it's fucking
I also
awesome.
love that I think all the bastards understood that this mission was not something that they would probably come back from. Because I think both of them are died. Like they both it's something that I love seeing shit like that. It's fucking it's not something that you go in lightly. There's not too many examples of that in media a lot lately.
Yeah, and it's like Tarantino gets flack for his hyper violence in his movies, but it's like if you're getting mad at them blowing away Hitler, dude, then I want to know why.
That's another time I gasped in theaters watching him turn into fucking Swiss cheese.
It is about, because again, this movie is about the power of cinema in many things, but also I feel Tarantino gets flack for violence. I think he uses it intelligently, and one thing he does, he cuts away from violence quick, so it is more impactful. I would say none of his movies, maybe Kill Bill with some of the like crazy, like
Django has some pretty ridiculous fucking violence. I think that's his most graphic.
Yeah, but even in this, when the Bear Jew goes for the kill with the club or with the bat, it's a really wide shot, and it's not like in your face.
No, but you still feel the impact. It's not one of these
fucking hear that impact, goddammit.
It's not one of those things where in some movies the hero, he gets shot and he's like limping along and he's like, oh, I'll be fine, and he walks it off. and it almost trivializes the violence.
I think he stylizes it in a really well way. Like every movie he does the violence with, especially like you haven't seen Django yet, but every shot is like blood spurts and like Kill Bill's a lot. That I think when he fixates on a genre, he picks a type of violence he wants for it, because the violence is almost different from every single fucking movie ever. Like he makes it's stylized differently. You go in like his first few movies, like with Reservoir Dogs, a lot of it you don't see a whole lot of the violence on screen. You see the aftermath, and it's all blood. Where you see him, the only violence you see is cutting off the ear. As for like fucking Pulp Fiction, you get like it's like in your face. It's the most realistic violence you see.
Yeah, and a lot of it's very sudden. Like when Vincent, they open the door of Vincent and he shoots him.
Yeah, or like whenever they're in the car and they accidentally shoot the dude in the fucking back. It's a lot. There's a lot of fucking humor in that type of stuff, but it's also it's realistic. So like you have to cut it with the humor. And then later in these movies that he's got, like the violence becomes more ridiculous, but the scenes are more serious.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Like so, like we've got shooting the Swiss cheese of fucking Hitler. Like that's ridiculous violence, and that itself is humorous. But the situation that's going on, there's not a fucking punchline. Like the punchline is that violence.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
that's why it rules.
I like style. I'm a big fan of stylized violence. Kill Bill has its stylized violence too. Very classic fucking samurai, like kung fu violence, and I like stylized violence a lot. I'm not a gore freak. Like I don't like torture porn, but I like it when it's stylized violence.
Sure. And every chapter of this is interesting in its own way. I love all the dialogue, how well it works, and how much you feel like you're a part of the scene, and how it all comes together. And that's why it's my favorite Tarantino movie. Obviously, I love the power of cinema, and I've always been into World War II stories.
I am a fucking absurd patriot when I watch World War II films. I get super fucking into it. And it's I don't know. I get like adrenaline rushes and shit like that. I am all about the fucking boys from World War II. But we've got the last fucking chapter. I guess is it still the same chapter, or like whenever they go with Hans Landa to the interrogation and Hans Landa?
That's all part of that. That's like the epilogue.
Okay. That is hands down, I think the best writing Tarantino's written is that scene where Christoph Waltz is explaining what the fuck is about to go down. And it's
all him. Yeah, it's all his plan. Like, fuck it.
It's fucking, you're going to call your captains. You're going to tell them all of this shit happened. You're going to secure me a nice home. Where is it? In like Connecticut?
Nantucket.
Nantucket. Yeah. Fucking, hey, I want to live there or whatever. And fucking, I think Aldo, you could see the fucking anger he has whenever he picks up talks to his captain and realizes they're going to go through with this plan. And also, I think my favorite one-liner in the whole movie is when BJ Novak was like, "I'm the short one."
They think I'm small. Yeah,
yeah, that's so fucking good.
Yeah, it's like he's like 5'7". He's not that short.
You can see how fucking angry Aldo is, though. Like that's like, fuck this. And then the poetic justice as they're driving and he's won. They end up pulling over to release the cuffs. They shoot his friend, and he's like, "I bargained for that man's life." And then he looks at him and he's like, "So what are you gonna do with your fucking uniform?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't fucking like that." It's one of my
no
favorite
longer in control either. So
yeah, he hates. I love. He's like, "Oh, I've been chewed out."
Imagine living in Nantucket and some dude who has a really nice house has also got a Nazi sign in the middle of his fucking house.
Fuck him.
Yeah.
Also trick or treating, and he comes out, and you're like, "Trick or treat," and he's like, "Oh, this is so cute," and it's just fucking Nazi insignia on his head.
He should have become a sushi chef.
It's also the speech he gives to them while they're still tied up about how, like, because Alice is like, "No, this is too good to be true," and then he has this nice speech about how once in a while, against all odds, despite what they might say in the history books, along comes a deal that is not too good to be true. And it's just, I don't know, it's an interesting how to the very end he tries to have this one-up control on things.
I mean, he looks at him dead in the eyes. He's like, "Would you guys like to end the war tonight?"
Yeah. Like,
what the fuck?
This is the highest fucking stakes. It's all fiction, but still.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
this movie.
This
It's
is
crazy.
Tarantino's highest stakes ever in his films.
It's
Like,
interesting. The first time I watched this, I didn't know how I felt because
did
I
we
don't
watch
know.
this together for your first time? Because I
No.
remember buying this on Blu-ray.
No.
Back in the
I
day.
was not with you. I was with Sumner
Oh, word.
and Brennan years ago, a long time
Okay,
ago.
because I got this for Christmas on Blu-ray when it came out.
That was like the first time I met Brennan, a long time ago. But I don't know why it was like I felt like I got filtered by it or something. I couldn't connect with the fact that it was alternate history. I don't know why.
I love alternate history.
Now
I got filtered.
I love that kind of shit.
I got filtered first time.
What was I gonna say? I do want to say something about that Blu-ray real quick. That Blu-ray also had the original OG Inglorious Bastards on it.
Yeah.
Not nearly as good. Fun movie, but not nearly as good. But
Oh, of course. Yeah, I figured.
definitely worth the watch if you like this one. There's some similarities, but Tarantino completely made this his own. You know.
Well, sure, yeah.
This is absolutely one of the greatest war films of all time. It's the best Tarantino film in my opinion as well. This and followed very closely by Kill Bill.
I'm a Pulp Fiction guy.
That's fair. I love Pulp Fiction.
I'm a Pulp Fiction guy.
Well,
This is
shout out to
on a
IFC.
reappraisal. This is higher tier. This is
Shout out real quick to the Independent Film Channel back in the day. That's the first time I saw Pulp Fiction. Got introduced to fucking Tarantino. It was my first Tarantino film when I was like 13 years old.
Yeah, that channel did a lot of good for you.
Yeah, man. There was a movie I watched on there that I have never seen anybody else talk about, and this is random for this podcast, but it's called Elephant, and it's about a school shooting that was made back in like the early 2000s, and I want to do this on the podcast because it's a really, really well done school shooting movie. Back whenever like school shootings weren't as big, it's properly done. It's not like a fucking like. I'll have to find out.
Is it as good as Super Columbine Massacre RPG?
I've played that, and
Surprisingly respectful.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a really well known movie.
Before we wrap up, I have to acknowledge the complete masturbatory glee that Quentin Tarantino has of the last line of the movie after carving the swastika into Landa. Aldo goes, I think this might be my masterpiece.
Yeah, I fucking love that, dude. Fucking iconic. There's so many good fucking one-liners in this movie. It's my favorite.
That's a jerk off line, but
I love it.
It works.
It's fitting.
But now Tarantino says Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's his best movie, which I disagree. But
I've only seen that once.
I've only seen it once, but I just disagree. This one does it for me.
I love the fucking batshit ending. Like, that's great.
The first time I watched it, I'm such a dumbass. The first time I watched it, I didn't know it was about the Manson family till the very end.
What?
Like the credits. And then it said Manson family. I was like,
how?
Jesus, dude.
Attaboy, that's fine.
And then I still enjoyed it. And
one of the main characters was Sharon Tate.
But what happened was it was on TV. So I watched the second half of it, I was gonna watch it like a couple scenes. I ended up watching the second half of it, but then it was playing again right after. So then I watched the first half up until
I
watched it in a really weird way.
First of all, I guess you're not big on that shit because it's Sharon fucking Tate.
That's what I was saying. One of the main characters, is Sharon Tate. I do want to say before we do get off, this is in the vein of war movies. Little recommendation I watched not too long ago is the new All Quiet on the Western Front. Highly recommend.
Yeah, it's in my queue.
Super well fucking made. One of the most bleak war movies I've ever fucking seen.
It's liberal propaganda for being anti-war.
It's all on the Nazi side of the war too. So
I've
never seen the original. I think World War One. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's not Nazis.
French War. Same. They're all Nazis. They're still Nazis.
That's not. The Nazi party hadn't been established.
I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm fucking dumb. I forget.
Anyway,
great film.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, pussies.
Next week we'll have something very special for you.
Oh, I'm excited.
Should we go teasing it?
See you later. No tease.
No, just tune in.